Today, we're diving into the rich history of hip-hop and how it evolved from its humble beginnings in the Bronx to a global phenomenon. Hip-hop's roots date back to the 1970s in the Bronx, when social and economic challenges were at an all-time high. This was where DJ Kool Herc, a Jamaican immigrant, pioneered hip-hop music by isolating funk's breakbeats. These short instrumental segments between verses became the heart of hip-hop culture as talented MCs began to rap over them. The early days of hip-hop were marked by block parties at abandoned buildings in neighborhoods like Sedgwick Avenue. Here, DJs would showcase their skills, and MCs would freestyle and battle each other. This laid the groundwork for what would become an influential cultural movement. As hip-hop evolved, it became a symbol of unity and pride for communities struggling with social and economic challenges. Hip-hop culture has since spread around the world, becoming a global phenomenon that continues to evolve and inspire today.
From the late 1970s to the 1980s, these trailblazers broke barriers and challenged norms, paving the way for future generations of female artists. One of these pioneers was Sylvia Robinson, often referred to as the mother of hip-hop. She founded Sugar Hill Records in 1979 and was instrumental in producing the first commercially successful hip-hop record, Rap Dirty Dan by Kurtis Blow. This groundbreaking release marked the start of a new era in music history. Another early pioneer was Queen Lisa, who made her mark with her hit song Hip Hop, Don't Stop. She was one of the first female rappers to release a solo album and gained popularity on a radio show hosted by Mr. Magic's Rap Attack. Her success helped legitimize female rappers in the industry. These early female hip-hop artists laid the foundation for future generations to follow and are an essential part of hip-hop history. They broke barriers and challenged norms, showing that women can thrive in this genre just as much as their male counterparts. So, let's give a round of applause to these early pioneers who helped shape the world of hip-hop.
The history of battle rap can be traced back to the early days of hip-hop in the Bronx, New York City. DJ Kool Herc and other pioneers would host block parties where MCs would compete against each other in freestyle raps. These events were informal and spontaneous, but they laid the foundation for what was to come. As time passed, street battles became more formalized with cash prizes at stake. One notable figure was Grandmaster Caz, who often won these competitions, sometimes taking home as much as $1,000. These early battles paved the way for organizations like BDS and Second Round to emerge in the late 80s. BDS Battle at the Blades was one of the first groups to stage rap battles with cash prizes on a large scale. They held their events at a place called Blades in Harlem. The organization's founder, Big Ed, was a barber who began hosting competitions between barbers and bartenders as a way to attract customers. He then realized that rap battles could be just as entertaining and decided to give it a try. And that's just a small piece of the amazing history of battle rap. I hope you enjoyed learning about this exciting chapter in hip-hop culture. Let's kick things off with the early 1980s, where a pivotal moment occurred. Sugar Hill Records, a label credited for officially launching hip-hop in 1979, was acquired by the music mogul Jojo Cartu. Following this acquisition, Sugar Hill Records released groundbreaking singles such as Rapper's Delight and The Adventures of Grandmaster Flash on the Wheels of Steel by Tommy Boy. These iconic tracks helped bring hip-hop to a much wider audience and solidified Sugar Hill as the hub of mainstream hip-hop. Fast forward to 1983, and we arrive at the era of Run DMC. Following the release of Rapper's Delight, hip-hop faced a lull in significant releases until Run DMC burst onto the scene with their trailblazing self-titled debut album in 1984. With hits like Sonic Boom and Rockbox, they brought a fresh new sound to mainstream audiences that resonated around the globe. Thank you for joining me on this historical journey through the evolution of mainstream hip-hop records. Did you know that the origins of underground hip-hop can be traced back to the same roots as mainstream hip-hop? That's right. Both genres have their roots in the Bronx, with many early artists eventually crossing over to mainstream success while simultaneously maintaining the essence of true hip-hop culture. While it's true that mainstream success came with its own set of challenges, artists like Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five were able to navigate this change while staying true to their roots. They maintained their focus on lyrical prowess, artistic integrity, and social consciousness, all essential elements of underground hip-hop. As we continue to explore the history of this genre, it's clear that artists like Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five played a significant role in shaping the future of hip-hop. Their commitment to the art form has helped keep the spirit of underground hip-hop alive and thriving.
So, buckle up and let's dive right in. Metaphors are truly fascinating, as they have played a key role in human communication since ancient times. They've been used to bridge the gap between abstract ideas and concrete language, making complex concepts more relatable and understandable. In ancient Greece, rhetoricians like Aristotle and Gorgias championed the use of metaphors to add depth and dimension to their speeches. Greek philosopher Plato even critiqued Socrates' use of them in his writings. Fast forward to Roman times, and authors like Cicero and Horace took metaphorical expression to new heights, using them to paint vivid pictures with their words. They weren't just about communication, they were also about creativity and artistic expression. Metaphors have been woven into our language and literature for centuries, from the Bible to Shakespearean plays. Even modern-day writers continue to use them to enrich their work. So now you know a little more about the rich history behind those colorful expressions we use every day.
Sappho, known as the 10th Muse, was a remarkable woman who wrote about love and tragedy. Her life was filled with ups and downs, but her work lives on as a testament to her talent. Some of her most famous lines include her prayer to Aphrodite and her heartfelt plea to her friend Anaxandrides. Alcaeus, on the other hand, was a poet from the city of Lesbos during the 6th century BC. Despite his home city being involved in internal conflict during his time, Alcaeus managed to create beautiful poetry that still captivates us today. His work is characterized by its vivid imagery and powerful emotions.
Ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia laid the foundations for theatrical performances, often linked to religious ceremonies. The Greeks took it a step further with tragedies and comedies performed at religious festivals. The Romans perfected theater to a level where it became a mass entertainment industry. The Middle Ages saw a decline in theater due to political instability. However, when order was restored, theater flourished once more. Shakespeare's works from Elizabethan England are still considered classics today. And let's not forget ballet, which emerged during the Renaissance period in Italy and reached its golden age in France during the 17th century. As we enter modern times, performing arts continues to evolve with experimental works that defy traditional forms and challenge artistic conventions. So there's your brief history of performing arts. The evolution of the punchline is a fascinating journey through different forms of humor and entertainment. In the ancient times of oral traditions and folklore, storytellers would often use punchlines to add a twist or surprise element to their tales. Think about the unexpected conclusion of Aesop's fables or the clever turns of phrase in ancient Egyptian poetry. Moving on to Greek and Roman theater, comedies were filled with witty one-liners that would make audiences chuckle. Fast forward to medieval times, where jesters would entertain royal courts with their clever jokes and puns. Now that's some serious responsibility. The 17th century saw the rise of British balladry, where punchlines were often used to emphasize a moral or social commentary. And in the 18th century, American satire emerged with sharp wit and puns that targeted political figures.
So, buckle up and let's get started. The early origins of lyrical expression in hip-hop can be traced back to the 1970s and 1980 seconds, when MCs like DJ Kool Herc hit the stage and kicked off this amazing genre. As hip-hop evolved, so did the lyrical style. By the 1980s, we saw pioneers such as Run DMC and Slick Rick make a big impact on the scene. Fast forward to 1986, and we're introduced to the iconic group Public Enemy. Fronted by Chuck D, this group went on to define hip-hop culture in the late 80s with their powerful messages and electrifying performances. In the 90s, Notorious Big entered the scene with his smooth flow and profound lyrics. His groundbreaking album Ready to Die showcased his unique talent and helped shape lyrical expression in hip-hop during this era. Moving into the 2000s, we saw artists like Kanye West take center stage stage with his innovative production techniques and captivating lyrics. His work on Jay-Z's The Blueprint solidified his place in hip-hop history. As we approach modern times, artists like J. Cole have continued to push boundaries with their lyrical styles. Cole's album Born Sinner is a testament to his skill as a storyteller and performer. So there you have it, a brief history of lyrical style in hip-hop.
Let's explore how this art form has evolved over the decades. First, let's go back to the golden age of hip-hop in the late 1980s and early 1990s. This era was all about boastful rhymes and party chants. Artists like Cool J, Salt-N-Pepa, and Criss Cross dominated the scene with their catchy beats and memorable lyrics. As we move into the 90s, we see a shift towards more personal narratives in hip-hop music. Artists like Biggie Smalls and Tupac Shakur began to share their experiences growing up in challenging environments, often focusing on social issues like gang violence and police brutality. In the new millennium, rap music evolved once again, with artists like Kanye West bringing a new level of artistic expression to the genre through sample loops and creative song structures. Kanye's groundbreaking work on The College Dropout solidified his place as one of the most influential artists in hip-hop history.
In the early days of battle rap, simple and direct attacks reigned supreme. Rappers aimed to land as many hits as possible without overthinking their strategy. However, as time went on, they started incorporating more complex approaches, such as using a person's weight or height against them. As battle rap evolved in the 1990s, we saw the emergence of big man can't rap and skinny man can't rap angles. This shift represented a newfound emphasis on technical skill and creativity in one's attacks rather than just an endless barrage of hits. Fast forward to today's modern era of battle rap, and we see a broad range of angles being used. Rappers are now free to choose any approach they desire, be it based on personal information or stereotypes. The sky's the limit when it comes to creating an effective angle that will leave your opponent reeling. That wraps up our exploration of how angles have evolved in battle rap throughout its history.
In the early days of hip-hop, artists like Grandmaster Flash and DJ Hollywood pioneered simple rhymes, chants, and call and response interactions during performances and block parties. As time progressed, we saw artists like Run DMC and LL Cool J mastering punchlines and double entendres, which added a new layer of complexity to their lyrics. Fast forward to the 1990s, with the emergence of artists like Biggie Smalls and Tupac Shakur, who revolutionized hip-hop with their hard-hitting lyrics and intricate storytelling. Around the same time, A Tribe Called Quest introduced us to a more jazz-influenced style of wordplay. In recent years, artists like Kendrick Lamar have taken wordplay to new heights, experimenting with complex metaphors and allusions that challenge listeners to keep up. The evolution of wordplay in hip-hop has been an exciting journey, showcasing the genre's ability to evolve while still maintaining its core elements.
Hip-hop has always been known for its clever wordplay, and double entendre is a great way to showcase this. One of the greatest innovators of double entendre in hip-hop was Rakim. His unique style was a game changer, and his ability to use subtle humor in his lyrics was unmatched. He often used double entendre to create layers of meaning within his rhymes. In the late 80s and early 90s, artists like Big Daddy Kane took the art of double entendre to new heights. Kane was known for his intricate wordplay and clever use of metaphors and similes. His lyrics often challenged listeners to decipher hidden meanings, making him one of the most respected MCs of his era. As hip-hop evolved in the 90s, artists like NAS continued to push the boundaries of double entendre. NAS's storytelling abilities were second to none, and he often used subtle humor and layered meanings in his lyrics to create vivid narratives. In more recent times, artists like Eminem have kept the tradition of double entendre alive in hip-hop. Eminem's unique style is known for its wit, humor, and clever puns, making him one of the most influential rappers of our generation. So there you have it, a brief history lesson on how double entendre has evolved in hip-hop over time.
Hip-hop has always been known for its unique approach to lyrical delivery, and tongue twisting is no exception. From its early roots to modern-day innovations, let's take a closer look at how hip-hop masters have perfected this art form. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, artists like Big Daddy Kane and Kool G Rap really pushed the boundaries of tongue twisting. Their rapid-fire rhymes were not only impressive but also showcased their skill and creativity. These early pioneers laid the foundation for even more incredible feats in the genre. Fast forward to the late 1990s, and we see artists like Edo G and Supernatural take tongue twisting to new heights. Edo G's Super Rapist showcased his lightning-fast flow and clever wordplay, while Supernatural's Stay Real demonstrated his ability to make even complex syllables roll off his tongue effortlessly. As we move into the 2000s, artists like Ace Spade continued to push the boundaries of tongue twisting with impressive displays of speed and precision on tracks like Fast Rhyme. And in the 2010s, Little Ugly Mane's freestyle on Welcome to Hell is a prime example of how modern rappers are still keeping this tradition alive.
Today, we're delving into the fascinating history of hip-hop DJs and their significant impact on the genre's evolution. These talented individuals have not only shaped the musical landscape, but also played a crucial role in shaping the cultural foundations of hip-hop. In the early roots of hip-hop culture, dating back to the 1970s, DJs like Kool Herc and Grandmother Flash were at the forefront of this new movement. These pioneers were instrumental in bringing hip-hop to life, hosting block parties and gatherings where they showcased their skills and created a sense of community. Kool Herc, in particular, was known for his innovative approach to music and for fostering an environment where rap artists could express themselves. He's often credited with inventing the concept of turntablism, which significantly influenced the development of hip-hop music. So there you have it, a brief overview of how hip-hop DJs have influenced and contributed to the development of hip-hop culture. The evolution of Southern hip-hop can be traced back to the 1980s and 1990s, when it began to distinguish itself from East Coast and West Coast rap styles. This region-specific genre was heavily influenced by funk and blues artists like Cameo, Parliament Funkadelic, ZZ Top, and Robert Johnson. These musical influences helped shape the unique sound of Southern hip-hop. One key element that sets Southern hip-hop apart is the prevalence of trap drums. These drums have a distinctive boom-bap sound that's become synonymous with the genre. Other defining features include 808 bass kick sounds and synthesizers for added melodic interest. Another characteristic of Southern hip-hop is its lyrical content, which often reflects on life experiences such as hustling or street life. This emphasis on real-life experiences gives the music a sense of authenticity that resonates deeply with listeners. So there you have it, a brief overview of the history and evolution of Southern hip-hop.
Let's kick things off by exploring the foundations of this genre in California. In the 1970s and 1980 seconds, hip-hop culture began to thrive in California, thanks to artists like Too Short, E40, and Digital Underground. These pioneers were instrumental in shaping the sound and style that would come to define West Coast hip-hop. Their music was marked by funky grooves, a laid-back vibe, and an emphasis on storytelling. One of the most distinctive features of West Coast hip-hop is its lyricism. Artists like Ice Cube, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eazy-E, and Tupac took rap music to new heights with their raw emotion and social commentary. Their lyrics often reflected the struggles of urban life in cities like Los Angeles and Oakland during the 1980s and early 1990s. As we delve deeper into the history of West Coast hip-hop, we'll explore how it evolved from its East Coast counterparts and how it continues to influence rap music today.
Freestyling is an improvisational art that's been a cornerstone of hip-hop culture since its early days. It showcases an artist's lyrical dexterity, creativity, and the ability to think on their feet. Freestyling has its roots in the early days of hip-hop, dating back to the 1970s in the Bronx, New York. This was a time when DJs and MCs would perform at house parties and block parties, often incorporating spontaneous rhymes into their sets. These early freestylers were masters at keeping the crowd engaged and creating a lively atmosphere through their impromptu lyrics. As time went on, freestyling evolved into a showcase of an artist's lyrical skills and improvisational ability. Today, we can witness freestyling through various mediums such as ciphers or battles, where artists compete against each other by coming up with fresh lines on the spot. It's an art form that continues to thrive and evolve in today's landscape. So there you have it, a brief glimpse into the history and evolution of freestyling in hip-hop.
Did you know that it originated in the early 1970s in the South Bronx, New York City? That's right. Breakdancing, also known as breaking or b-boying, b-girling, is a dynamic and acrobatic style of street dance that became a key element of hip-hop culture. It was born out of the wider hip-hop movement, which also included jing, MCing, rapping, and graffiti art. One of the pioneers of hip-hop culture was DJ Kool Herc. Initially, breakdancing started as partygoers dancing to the breaks in songs, those groovy parts where there was no singing, just cool beats. People would take to the floor and show off their moves during these instrumental sections, and thus breakdancing was born. So there you have it, a quick peek into the history of this amazing dance style. Thanks for joining us on this journey through time.